Let's go.
Hello, welcome to Africa is Home. My name is Jean Paul. Tonight we'll be talking to you about democracy in Africa. See, before colonization, Africa had a system that worked. We had kingdoms such as the Zulu Kingdom, Congo Kingdom, and the Kingdom of Benin. And then after Berlin Conference that took place in 1884 to 1885, the European then divided Africa and put artificial borders between us, and as a result, they ended up colonizing Africa. At the end of World War II, however, our founding fathers began to fight for our independence. In the late 1950s, 1960s, Africa then got its independence. But before the colonizers left, they left us a system, the so-called democracy, a governance system that they defined as having periodic election, multiple political parties, and limitation of presidential power terms. Now the question then is, can the European democracy work in Africa? Now joining me to discuss about democracy in Africa is the co-founder of Africa is Home, Platini,
Hello.
and our honorable guest joining us direct from South Africa, King. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you so
time,
much, sir.
brother. Now, before we start, I would also like to wish my fellow Africans Happy Youth Day today. So, now, as I was saying, King, do you think the Western democracy can or will work? Absolutely, my pleasure, my pleasure. Now, as I was saying, do you think the Western democracy can work in Africa?
I did got a question, and my answer to that question is yes. The Western democracy can actually work in Africa. And if you look at what you said, when we first start um, gaining our independence from these people, when they came down here, destroy everything, um, um, amalgamated people together that were not supposed to be together and form stuff that we call today countries. When we start in late 1950s and early 1960s, when our leaders start um, taking back the power from these people. If you look at a section of those people like Kenneth Kaunda, people like Julius Nyerere, people like Kwame Nkrumah, and all of these people, democracy was working. So it's not a point of asking whether we cannot be able to function with the democracy of the West. The question is that do we have people who can actually do that? Because the first session of people that I've just called now, the Nelson Mandela and all of these people, they were able to prove to us that yes, democracy actually works. So
Now,
it is possible that we can run with the democracy of the West and be able. And I think that we could actually practice the democracy of the West more than them. Because if you look at a typical Black person, we are not greedy. Greed has been taught to our people. But a real African, we do not have that. We always think of a brother. That's why we always have a term of born to whatsoever. You are because I am. So we are more than able, in fact, to practice a democracy more pure than the Western democracy.
But
Excuse me, sir. I have
excuse
a
me, sir. I have a
question for you.
question for you.
Now, when you look at
Now,
the
when
way
you
Africa
look like the way
was
Africa
structured
was
before the
structured
West came into
before the
Africa,
West
you
came
will
into
realize that
Africa,
we had
you will
all of
realize
these,
that we had all of these,
a lot of tribes.
a lot of
That
tribes.
each tribe
That
had
Yes,
like
each
each
yes.
tribe,
united.
right?
So, with this system of
with
democracy
this system of
that
democracy
you
that
think might work
you
for us,
think might work
it
for us,
completely
it completely eradicate
the monarch system
the
that
monarch system that
existed before they came in.
existed before they came
And then
in.
it
And
also
then
eradicate the
it
fact
also
that these
eradicate the
tribes
fact that
have
these tribes
different
have
cultures
different
and
cultures
different backgrounds.
and
Yes.
different
So
backgrounds.
boxing
So
everyone
boxing
together
everyone
to
together
have
to have
to vote for one
to
for one
vote for
president, you might
one president,
we might come across a
we might
situation
come
in
across a
which
situation in
a
which
certain tribes are not
certain
being heard
tribes
in
are not being
countries.
heard
And
in
you've seen that
countries.
situation
And you've seen that
recently
situation recently
with
this
country, Ethiopia.
this country,
Yeah,
Ethiopia.
yeah, when the other tribes were
When
rising,
the other
like
tribes were
fighting
rising,
against the
like fighting
government,
against
saying that
the government, saying that
they
they
have been
have
neglected.
been
And
neglected.
you also have come
And you
across
also have come across
this particular
this
situation
particular
with Cameroon.
situation with Cameroon.
When the
Yeah,
Anglophone,
yeah,
when the
yeah.
so-called Anglophone region of Cameroon is fighting against the French part of Cameroon.
French part of
That's
Cameroon.
exactly
Yeah,
the direct problem that comes with
direct problem
democracy
that
in
comes with
Africa right now.
democracy in Africa right now.
Because
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
French person in
No
Cameroon and
French
there's no
person in
English
Cameroon,
person
and
in
there's no
Cameroon.
English person in
It's
Cameroon.
more of
It's
tribes
more
Yeah.
of
that have not been heard
that have not been heard
over the years, that are rising up right now.
rising
So
up
when you
right
say
now.
in
So
the
when you
days
say
of
in
the great Kwame
the great Kwame
Nkrumah,
Nkrumah,
democracy worked
democracy
in Africa.
worked in
That might have
Africa.
been
That might have
because a lot
been
of tribes
because a lot of
were just
tribes
silent.
were just
No,
silent.
first of
No,
all,
yeah.
it was when democracy was introduced to Africa.
And it was still fairly
And
new
keep
to
in
mind.
mind, keep in
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
those founding fathers, all of them were assassinated, began with Lumumba back in the 60s. Then the
Yeah, yeah,
Kwames
yeah.
in the 70s, you know, those
Yeah,
when,
yeah,
so what is your take on what he said on the democracy prior to?
Listen. I just gave you an example, and I told you that the black race or the African people, even though we used to have this kingdom, in fact, we used to have almost 10,000 of these kingdoms.
A lot
But
of them.
yeah, a black person or the Africans on the continent never really have this kind of problem that you have with the countries and all of those stuff that we're having today. Listen, they already knew how to live with one another. We give an
Right.
example of the richest guy, what is his name? Mensa Musa. They talk
Yeah,
about
Mensa.
him traveling across the whole of the continent. Now, what does that tell you? In as much as we are different tribes, in as much as we belong to different clans and all of those stuff, an African person, I continue to make emphasis on this, a true African, a typical African, the first thing that he sees when he sees you is the blackness. That's the first thing. And when he sees that, every other thing comes second. So if in as much as we were divided, for example, in Nigeria, the North, their culture is totally different from the South. And the East, their culture is totally different from the West. But these people, when they unite them together as a country, now having the name Nigeria, remember the first thing that if I see you, I see is you being a black person. So the only thing that is needed in order to get these people, and remember this, there is what is called unity for purpose. Unity for purpose means we might not agree on everything, but there are important stuff that need to be agreed on. And any country at all, if they have a true leader, I'm still talking about the democracy in Africa. If they have a true leader, this tribe doesn't matter. Those people will agree with each other. People don't agree, even people who are born from the same father, the same mother, they have differences. But if they have a leader who can be able to stand as a glue and glue them together to work towards a common goal, then you will see that country work. And hence, I tell you that at the time of Julius Nyerere, Kenneth Kaunda, all of these great leaders that I have just mentioned, democracy was working. It was working because these were people that knew exactly where they were taking people to. Then after that dispensation, we have all of these thieves coming in. People like Mobutu Sese Seko, people like Sani Abacha of Nigeria, people like India Amin, people like when these guys came in, all that they were doing was stealing money in large quantity. These were the people that even strengthened the borders because they know that whatsoever is happening in Cameroon, Paul Biya knows that whatsoever is happening in Cameroon, nobody from Ghana is coming to ask him any question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You understand? So to me, as they stand, and I believe that democracy will work so much in Africa. The Western democracy will even work better if a real African take control of a country. We're not talking of all these managers or sellouts that we have all over the continent today, calling themselves our leaders. They're not our leaders.
Right. I sense a kind of contradiction in what you say. You say democracy can work in Africa. African lived in harmony prior to European now. Is this democracy really working? Because if you look at Africa today, right? Africa deals with diversity better than Europeans, right?
Yes.
Right. Look, we have all these tribes in Africa. However, we still live in diversity. We still live together. You go to Europe, you see in Spain, for instance, they're all separated. Soviet Union, they form all these little countries to create purity. Now, is this democracy really working for Africa? Because this is something that was introduced to us. Africa is a young continent. Like I said, we got our independence in the late 50s, early 60s. So democracy is still a new concept. So is this because if you look at typical political party in Africa, it's simply a combination of a certain tribes. I know, I'm sure in South Africa, you see it in Congo, I know, you know. So is this democracy really working for Africa?
I think before, sorry, let me follow up with you, Mr. Jean-Paul. I think what I'm understanding from him is
he understands the fact that it's not working right now, but he's trying to drive towards the idea that is the mindset we have right now.
So now it's two things.
Yeah.
You're talking about the mindset of the leaders
that we have right now that is killing democracy in Africa.
Now, right. So do you think it's the leaders that are causing the democracy not to work in Africa, or do you think it's just the democracy concept is it for Africans?
Thank you.
So if you say that we are people that love harmony and peace, and we are now having a problem because certain tribes have been amalgamated together to live together. Now, what happened to that harmony? I think what happened to that harmony is that, I give an example. No matter how great a company is, if you introduce a bad manager to that company will run down. There is nothing to do about it. No matter how dysfunctional a company is, if we introduce a good manager, he will find a way. He will find a way to make that company work. What is going on in Africa is far beyond just tribes fighting against each other. For example, when Robert Mugabe took power, what he did was to chase all the white people from Zimbabwe. Awesome, great. He now took the property, the land and all of those things. What did he do with it? He shared it with his friends and family. Now, if you were the person in another tribe that does not belong to him, what will you do? You will start fighting. But now, if we have a leader that knows that I am not leading my tribe, I'm leading multiple tribes. So I should be able to allow their voices to be heard. Then I am sure that democracy will work in that particular place. Democracy, what does it mean? It's for the people, and of the people. So I think that even the monarchy, whatever that we were practicing before these people came in, was just for a certain group of people. So if we are able to combine this group of people together and answer their needs according to the way that it should have been answered, even if they were still fragmented the way they are. So to me, that's why I believe that the problem of democracy actually is not the fact that we cannot live together, but it's the fact that our leaders still believe that if they are given a chance to rule a particular people, they want to talk about their family and just a small group of people that they come from. I don't know how much you guys know about Cameroon, but Cameroon is run by this guy called Paul Biya. He has been in power since 1982. If you look at his cabinet, everybody comes from his clan.
Yeah, I know a lot about Cameroon. I'm from there. I'm from Cameroon.
Oh, okay. What I'm saying is a lie. Am I lying?
No, you're not. You're not.
I'm not. So,
okay,
so
here's
now,
the thing, though.
So now, if people from Bamileke
Yeah.
becomes angry that this guy is putting only people from his clan, then that is when we began to have tribal problem in the democracy. But in a case whereby Paul Biya will say, listen, I am not the president of the tribe that I was born only, but I am the president of all the tribes in here. Then I don't see tribes being a challenge to democracy.
Well, in the case of Paul Biya, right, I don't think my problem with him is being in the problem that I have with President Biya is the fact that he doesn't take care of the entire nation. So I try to warn African youth on this concept of democracy. When you look at the situation that what's happening, yeah, that's similar to the situation. That was actually taking care of his people. He was doing good by his people. Yeah, but now everybody was like, oh, we need free speech, we need free this. He's been in power for so long. Oh, we need a chance for people to get in power. Look at what is happening now. That's one thing that I turned to want a lot of Cameroonians. The problem should not be like chasing Korea out and putting someone new. Actually looking into the system. Why is it not working? Why is it not working? Everyone in Cameroon.
Okay, brother. Listen. So, leadership. One thing I believe so strongly is that leadership with clear and pure motive is a solution to any group of people that you are leading. Now, you spoke about Cameroon, of the men not being able to do. It's a story of all the African countries. And call me anyway, they are dysfunctional because, first of all, the guy going into that doesn't even know what he's going there to go and do. And if you look at our countries on the continent here, Africa, the easiest place to rule is our place, not like your place in America. If a president becomes a president today, hey, he goes into whatever, but then now he cannot just stand and make decisions. If the Senate says no, there is nothing he can do. But here on the continent, if the president said, no, I like this place too much, I'm going to spend another 5 years, he does. So it is the same thing if we have a leader, a real leader. If he decides that I'm going to build the whole city, nobody's going to stop him. If he decides to say that I am going to make sure that there are roads, connection everywhere, nobody is going to stop him.
Absolutely.
The Senate is not going to rule it out.
Like that, if we were to find a leader like that wants to stay in power longer than the average term, and just keep doing the good work, should we be focusing about chasing him out, or should we just support him?
That was my question. Actually, I was gonna ask this question, right?
Yeah.
So the problem Yeah, the problem I have with this democracy, the European concept, is that I don't think it's working or will work.
Oh, it's not working right now.
Oh, it's not working
Because
right
we
now.
need to define democracy with our own terms, right? Like you gave an example of Libya. Gaddafi was doing great in Libya.
Oh.
Libya was considered the Switzerland of Africa. Free education, free healthcare, right? Right? So the people, I wouldn't say it was the West, that media propaganda that demonized the Libyan.
They brought
Let
their
me
liberal
give you another example. Paul Kagame, we saw in 1994. The genocide, Rwanda, they are my neighbor next door. Rwanda was down to the ground. Look what Paul Kagame is doing. In the name of democracy, the Western democracy, this Western media will demonize Rwandese. They say, oh, you guys need democracy. This is not democracy. You need the limitation of presidential term.
So they need someone like
That's gonna ruin Rwanda.
And he's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job of democracy. We have to define democracy. African, for instance, of I am,
because you are. Great. But talking on that, you remember that in the time of kings and whatsoever, when a king is no more strong, he gets somebody to take over the decisions and all of those things while he's still alive, where he monitor the person. That is what is called true leadership. Now listen, any true leader that cannot be able to produce or duplicate a predecessor that will take over him, he's not a complete good leader. So if you think that if you go away, everything that you build is going to collapse, then that wasn't leadership, it was dictatorship.
Now the time and the time history has proven that wrong in Africa. Like I was saying, for instance, in my country, we had Mobutu for over 30 years. Don't get me wrong, we were not doing great, but the country was, we didn't have war here and there. Now after Mobutu, the country has gone down. Look at Libya.
I don't think dictatorship is
That's
not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily bad.
Democracy is the problem. And the mindset.
Look, Mr. Jan.
Mr. Jan, take this to like let's break it down back to like African homes. Like when you are in your home in Africa, like because back in the day, if my dad provided us school fee, food, clothes, you don't ask other questions.
Right.
That's the basis.
Thank you.
Of
as long as you are taken care of.
You don't argue with him. It's yes, sir, no, sir. That works for us very well.
Yeah.
So why are we letting different people
supposed to run our own households?
That's the problem I have with democracy.
Why are we?
In Africa.
All right, look at democracy. What democracy did to Cameroon? Amadou Ahidjo, before Amadou Ahidjo left, he had health problems. That's what you're mentioning. A leader's supposed to bring someone that can take care of him. Yeah.
First of all,
he brought Paul Biya. That was someone that Ahidjo brought up, and he was so happy. He was very, very this man was so happy that Paul Biya was gonna take Cameroon to the next level.
Look at what Paul Biya did to Cameroon. First thing he did was dig out the railways that Ahidjo was trying to link up Cameroon with and sold them to Foko, a businessman in Cameroon. Yeah, we had Kami Toyota. We had there was a coffee this coffee company that was processing coffee in Cameroon. It was like Bata. A lot of companies were in Cameroon. This man shut them down, all of them. Cameroon has nothing today. That was democracy. Just to stay in power.
Yeah, the problem I have in the name of the Western democracy, a lot of countries in Africa have been ruined. Libya. Look at Libya. Look at Burkina Faso, Mali, what they did to French. They kicked them out.
Your country.
So my problem is we need democracy based on the African reality.
I don't even want democracy for Africa, to be honest, gentlemen.
So you think if we are able to produce leaders, like real leaders, leaders who are willing to put their lives online for the sake of their countries. We're not talking of leaders who are concerned with their stomach and their families. Do you think that we will not be able to build Africa of our dreams? I'll give you an example.
We will.
Yeah, I give an example. When Kenya got independence, that was the same day South Korea also got independence. And look at where Kenya is today. Look at where South Korea is today. One thing I believe so strong is that when we have a leader that is obsessed with the idea of lifting a country out of poverty to a place that they're supposed to be, then that will happen. If we decide to say today that we are going to go back to our monarchy, whatever, I don't know about you, brother.
No, yeah, I'm not saying.
But these old people, some of them that say become a king here. We see have kings in our place in Nigeria. These guys are more wicked than politicians. They're even more corrupt than politicians.
Yeah,
I mean, the system is still in place.
It's a system, my
Yeah,
brother.
in South Africa, they have king, the Zulu king. In Uganda, Uganda king. I am a descendant of king.
Exactly.
So the system still exists for traditional purposes.
Purposes. Now, I'm sorry for cutting you there. They have all these kings. But do you know that when these people, the politicians, want to bribe in order to get in touch with the grassroots people, do you know who they bribe? Is this kings? You see, so what we're crying for in Africa is a group of people or group of leaders that will stand up and say, enough is enough. We have all it takes. Let us take our people from this dungeon to where they're supposed to be.
But what guarantee you have?
Sorry.
What guarantee do you have that
a
if
leader
you
out
switch
in
a leader
Africa,
out
you're gonna
in
get
Africa,
someone
you're
better
gonna
than
get someone better?
Because like you rightly said,
there's
no system in Africa that holds people accountable.
When a leader gets
When
in
a
power,
leader gets
he can
in
be
power,
in power. He can be in power
15 plus years, and he
15
can do
plus
whatever
years,
he
and he
wants
can
to
do
do.
whatever
He can go ahead and build. He can
so,
go ahead
yeah,
and build.
based
So
on
what
your-
guarantee
So what guarantee
do you have?
do you have?
Now the guarantee that I have is better through the frustration of a common African man. A common African man that have tasted all the suffering and whatever of being an African, true African person, coming in power and saying, listen, I am doing this for the sake of the unborn generation, that they should not face what I face. They should not face what a typical African face. I give people example. Most of our brothers and sisters, they are in the foreign land, not because they love what is going on there, but their countries are so messed up to a point that it is okay for them to be a beggar or whatsoever in other countries. So my belief is that when that time comes, that that common African will rise to power and say enough is enough. People keep making examples that we are, my brother just said we are a young democracy, whatever. No, brother. Like I just gave you example of South Korea. Most of these countries that they were receiving aid when we were receiving aid, now they are giving aid to other countries. But we were still negotiating on how to get a better aid because of what we have group of people, and I keep emphasizing on this topic over and over since we started. We have a group of people that doesn't even know what is happening. They don't care. They just want to take our money, go to Europe, celebrate their occasions and all of those stuff. And that is where our problem is. Even if we decide to go back to the monarch, if we still have this kind of people, we will still be behind.
So, Jean Paul, let me follow up with him a little bit. Don't you think instead of preaching democracy to the African people, we need to create systems to hold the current leaders accountable before we get to that point where we reshuffling leaders every year. Because it doesn't, I still go back to my question. It doesn't guarantee.
We have the so-called system, the AU. They are that's their job. That's what they are supposed to do. I don't even want to get
the AU is like
AU is the weakest.
It's like a European organization that keeps African leaders in check for you.
I don't even want
So that should not even
to
be.
give them that attention.
So we need a system, first of all, a fundamental system like in America. You have the Senate that can say no to the presidency.
Right.
All of that.
Yes.
We need systems like that in Africa before we push democracy.
All this, you know, Mwalimu warned us about this, Mwalimu Nyerere. He said the problem with Africa is not the song that's being sung. It's rather the person who's singing the song. And what he was saying, it's very clear. You could have the best idea for the country, but the people that will follow you or listen to you are the people of your ethnicity group. That's the problem we have in Africa. And that's what I'm saying. This democracy concept, we need to define it based on an African reality. So what's the African reality? Poverty, number one. Poor infrastructure, no opportunities. We have to build those first. Most people in Africa, they just want food in their table. They just want access to the health care, access to education. Basic things that some people in the developed country don't have to worry about. That's what we need. Now, once we get that, then we can begin to start creating all these structures, you know. So that is the problem. Democracy is not bad for Africa, but we have to define
the people are still hungry.
Right. Based on African reality, it has to reflect the reality of African people. Because if we follow the Western democracy, let's say, people like Muammar Gaddafi, who's been there for long years, had he left for 4 years, do you know where Libya would have been today? If Paul Kagame leaves today, we don't encourage dictatorship. We don't encourage that. But we are looking at the reality on the ground.
And you don't go to a people that don't have food or medication and you preach to them, push your leader out. They are hungry. We need to get control of our economy first.
That's what, you see, Thomas Sankara had that idea. That's what I'm saying, basic thing. That's what Thomas Sankara understood. When Thomas Sankara was their president, every Burkinabe child had access to education, access to health care, and it was free. See what I mean? We need to start understanding these basic needs and provide it. Then we can move
At the end of the day, that's all that matters. To be able to get access to the
like
the
in
things you
this
need.
country, things like food, healthcare, education, that's basic. We don't worry about that. But Africa is still,
got to a point that you got so much will be taken away from you that when they bring back a little that is still yours, you feel as if they have given you something. I don't know whether you understand what I'm trying to say. Now,
I understand you.
a typical African person is not asking for much. He's asking for electricity, water, and good roads. These three things. You do it for him, and he is able to become whatever he was born to be. Now, because much has been taken away from us, that the little that is given to us feels like a big thing. That's why you are saying these people need 20 years to do all of those basic needs. No, they don't need 20 years to do all of those things. In fact, in this digital world that we are in, a country can be built in 10 years. It is possible if the leader, because in Africa, you don't need the Senate to approve your bill. You don't need a Senate to sit and deliberate and say, no, this bill that you come in here with it to build 20 hospitals. No, we said, no, we don't want this thing to be done. If a president, leadership on African continents is the easiest because you have all the power. We don't even have structures in Africa. All the powers are in one hand. The president decide what to do. So if a president want to stay in a place more than 20 years before he would do what he should have done for 5 years, then that person also should be questioned. Why do you want to stay there for so long if you could do all of that in a short period of time?
So absolutely, like I said, history and time has proven that wrong. Why? We see it in Libya, Congo, we've seen that, Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, we've seen all those coups, we've seen that. The problem that what we are saying is that we need to build something we need to build a structure.
There has to be one.
Yeah.
That can work for Africa, right? We need and then from there we can start, okay, now that we have roads, now that we have hospitals, now that we have all these things, let's now start to practice democracy, right? Instead of doing 10 years, let's do 4 years, because it's a competition of ideas.
Mr. Jean Paul, we don't only need infrastructure before we get to democracy. We need a system that is going to hold whoever comes in power accountable and get them out when their time is due.
Exactly.
Isn't that democracy? Isn't that that's what I'm telling you, democracy is not working for Africa. Because democracy the definition says that the limitation of presidential terms, multiple political groups, periodic election. Tell me country like Cameroon, Paul Biya, since 1982, Robert Mugabe left the power, he was on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah.
In Chad, if they were not coup, Idris would have stayed. Where is democracy? Is it working? And then you give another example.
Wait. So what I want you to understand, I think there's a difference between, is it working or are they practicing it? I think there are two different things, isn't it? So somebody will tell you that they're doing a particular thing, but they're not doing it. So we wouldn't know what would have happened.
Actually practicing it.
You understand? Now, we do not know what would have happened, because if Cameroon said they're practicing democracy, that is a lie. They're not. That is not democracy.
They're not.
You understand? So now the question is this: if they are not practicing it, then we wouldn't know whether it could have worked or not. You see, if you look on African continent, the country that democracy worked very well is this place I'm sitting, South Africa. Right? Their democracy work. That you must account for every single thing and all of those stuff. And their system works. And that's why you will see that if the president embezzle any form of money, you will see the opposition party and everybody rising up and all of those stuff. No matter what we will talk about on African continent, these guys, their democracy is working. And each and every president that comes want to do better than the other president.
But do you know? But do you know why the South African democracy is working? Because they're economically stable.
Thank you. They are more economically stable.
They are economically stable. That's why it's working. Like I'm saying, some countries in Africa, all we need is, like you said, 24-hour electricity, clean water, food on the table. We don't have those basic needs. We can't meet those basic. Therefore, it makes it difficult. You understand what I'm saying? And I understand what you're trying to say.
What I'm asking is this: how long do you think it takes to build a complete infrastructure of the country?
With the right resources, it shouldn't take long. I'm not saying the reason why the leaders stay is because they have to build infrastructure and build all this.
Okay.
No, that's not my point. My point is the European version or definition of democracy is not and will not work in Africa. Why? Because the European democracy reflects the European reality. Now, our democracy must reflect the African reality. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's the African reality? What we are talking about?
Yeah, most African
Economy, right?
Yeah.
The reality, people are hungry. We
People are
don't
very
have
hungry.
clean water. We don't have access to education. We don't have enough food. Look now what's happening in Ukraine. We have shortages in Africa. We import food. Africa produces what it does not consume and consume what it does not produce. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the democracy we are practicing does not reflect our reality. That's the problem I have with that.
And when you look at few countries in Africa that their economies might be a little bit stable, like Egypt, of course, Nigeria.
There are few countries in Africa
South
that
Africa.
are doing well.
Democracy might
Senegal,
be
South
working
Africa, Egypt,
I don't think
North,
a president in Nigeria can stay in power for 50 years plus.
even Ghana.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah, even Ghana.
Because the economy is a
It's
little bit
usually
stable.
the francophone countries that we have.
It
problem
all
with
centers back to the
democracy.
economy.
So that's what I'm saying, that I don't have problem with democracy, but I have problem on how we are practicing it in Africa. That's the problem I have with it. Because it's not working, and it will not work because it's a concept.
No, it might work down the line.
Listen, it might work
Down
if,
the line.
like I said, if we define it based on the African reality. We are defining democracy.
I think democracy is
based on our
democracy.
color.
You can't change the definition of democracy.
You can.
Based on your reality. You just got to put it aside for now until we get to that point where we have everything we need. We are equipped to have that system. It's not every system that's going to work for a certain group of people.
Let me tell you something.
But
You can.
How are you going to do
You
that?
see, Kenya and South Korea got independence
Yeah.
at the same time.
Mhm.
Same
Why
day.
is South Korea developed more than Kenya? What went wrong?
Oh,
Right.
it's leadership.
There are a million reasons.
And yet we have everything in
It's-
Africa, all the resources.
It's leadership. Hey, that's why I keep insisting on this stuff, that it is always leadership. If we decide to break these kingdoms and all of those stuff, you're gonna see the same thing that is happening in Africa. Remember this: at the time of slavery, who was selling the black people?
Black people.
Yeah, who was selling them? It was our kings, isn't it? Our kings
So-
were they're selling the black people. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that any country or any organization, you don't agree with this. The slave trade doesn't just, it never just happened on its own. There were kingdoms that will come in there and give a king a gunpowder or a mirror. He will sell his people
Alcohol. He will get the
Alcohol.
strongest in his village and
You
send
understand?
them out.
and sell them out. You see, so we talk about let's go back to greed. Greed being the reason why most of our countries will never function. It doesn't matter how long the leader stays there. A greedy person will never have enough. That's why you will see some of our leaders, their bank account in Swiss is larger than, even if they take their money out of there, the whole bank will collapse.
Larger than the GDP of Liberia.
Exactly. So look at poor countries that are suffering, but you look at the lifestyles that the presidents and the people in the government live and whatsoever. So what I think is this: democracy will work if the leaders decide to say, what, you know what, we can build this country. And I believe so strongly that if I truly have my country in mind, then it shouldn't be about this guy is from my community, this guy is from my the same tribe with me, so I should put him into position and all of that. When a person loves his country, He's thinking of the country more than his own personal benefit. And I believe that we have those kind of people on the continent. And for the few, right now we see how Ghana is working. We see how Rwanda is working and all of those things. Then if people decide to bring this kind of people into power, I still believe that democracy will work, because the monarchy system, we don't know very well how that was working. But all I know is that the king had all the powers, and so much power in one hand. You know what that can happen, what that can do to a person.
Right.
So I still believe in democracy.
No, trust me, I believe in democracy too.
I do too, but down the line, not right now. Down the line.
Yeah, I want you to take a moment and think about this, brother.
Yeah.
Introduce democracy to Africa, our colonizers. Who's holding Africa back from development?
I think
right now.
I think in as much as it is very great, like to say, yeah, the white people are the reason and all of those stuff. But brother, when I point my finger on you,
you know what? I'm sorry, Mr. Jampo, but I think we are our problem right now.
I'm not blaming.
Yeah.
I'm not
right now it's us.
No, listen, I'm not blaming them for our failures, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm saying the system was introduced for a reason.
Yes.
It's for a reason. It's for a reason for them to continue deluding.
See,
why is it that we need France to observe the election in Cameroon?
I think
why?
So that
because they have their agents.
They
put whoever they want for their best interest.
No, then
why do we need?
That means we are not practicing democracy.
Why do we need England to observe election in South Africa?
No, I understand where it's coming from. That means we are not practicing democracy.
Right.
We are not.
That's what I'm saying.
We're not.
We're not. And I gave an example before. If my situation has gone so bad, from bad to worse, that I lost everything to you, and tomorrow you bring a quarter of what you taken from me and present it to me, that listen, this is it. I will go down on my knees and say thank you, not knowing that you are just bringing my stuff back, but not all of it that you are even bringing back. Now, the Berlin Conference that happened between 1884 to 1885, when these people put Africa on the table and divided it, and everybody had their share, what happened was this. What happened was this. Immediately, if you listen to the speech of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, when Ghana got their independence, he said something. He said, Ghana is not truly independent yet until the whole Africa is liberated. What does that tell you? What that tells you is that was the unity that these guys were fighting, and they know the reason why they were fighting for that unity, so that they can have control, a total control over their stuff. Then after these guys left, the other leaders that we had were now totally corrupt, and now the borders that these people created, now they were for their benefit. Now I can sit in Angola as a president and do whatever I want to do. Nobody from Congo will question me, because there is a demarcation that says this is Angola.
See, you mentioned Kwame, which remind me, Kwame warned us about this. If you listen, already his book in 1963 in Addis Ababa, when the OAU was formed, he said, Africa, we must unite now. Because if we live here as separated, we will be trapped to the power and we will be recolonized. Kwame warned us. We did not listen. And that's why we are seeing what we are seeing today. Well,
it it is really
we need to give him a chair, like chance to talk about his books before we leave. So if you want to take the rest of the
I get really very sad when I actually think of the real vision of AU. The real vision of AU in the 1960s was to unite Africa, and they know the reason why they were fighting for that. Fast forward to now, Africa has never been divided the way it is today. So the question that I always ask people, and I always tell people that that organization called AU should be crushed, it must be crushed away, and let us form a new organization in Africa that at least works. Now we are not talking about uniting Africa anymore, but we just want to create an organization that works. Not an organization that people go and sit and strategize how they're going to loot money more.
The AU is a direct representative.
I don't even think this current, I prefer the OAU, the original AU. The AU, the current AU is just a puppet regime that works for China and the West.
Anyways,
because it's funded and built by them.
Anyways, gentlemen, this topic is a very broad topic.
Right.
It is. It is.
We always have to revisit this topic. We're always going to have a part 2 and 3 and 4. But we don't want to leave today without you talking about your books, because when I visited your website, I saw some amazing books that you have released already. So please, if you want to share that with the audience, this will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think since we're talking about democracy, politics, I will talk about my recent book that I'm promoting. It's titled The 40 Voters Commandment. So I believe so strongly that Africans does not really have bad leaders as the world think it has. The problem is that anytime opportunity is given to us, the citizen, to vote in the right leader, we are clouded by the hunger in our stomach. Then we think with our stomach, then we give. That's why we keep producing same crops of leaders, people that they will just give us bread, then we give them our vote and all of those stuff. So the 40 Voters Commandment is talking about the 40 commandments that you should follow before voting anybody into the office. I believe that even the strongest dictatorship or whatsoever, when people are united, you cannot stop them. So I believe that in every state on the continent, when citizens begin to unite, unity for purpose, it doesn't matter the tribe you come from, it doesn't matter the religion you come from. Let every state in Africa unite for a particular purpose. Let us all unite to put this particular person in power, the person that will liberate us from all our suffering. You see, we talk about how our African countries doesn't need much. All they need is road, electricity, and all of those stuff. I believe that the citizens of a country, they are more than capable of selecting that kind of a person into power.
All right. So what is the name of this book gonna be? Repeat the name again for us.
The 40 Voters Commandments.
All right.
And where can the audience order one?
Oh yeah, my website, www.kingfazan.co.za. You can order one there.
All right. And when will you release it? Is it already out? Can we order it now?
Yeah, it's already out. I sent my brother
yeah, I have a link. We'll share it in the
We'll share the link.
Yeah.
Yes. So great. So another one that I want to talk about real quickly before we go is stop confusing Africa with religion.
You also talked about Nigeria. I saw that one.
Okay. So with Nigeria, that's where I'm from, and our democracy is really bad, and we have been divided so much. You will hear people say is the turn of the Muslim person to win. It's the turn of the Christian person to win.
This is a very big topic.
No,
You understand?
Don't worry. We'll talk about religion.
We'll have you again.
We'll talk about religion.
We'll have you again.
We'll have you
come
again.
back here.
You
So,
come back again.
My
I
people.
will be glad. I will be glad to come.
My people.
So yeah.
yeah. My
Stop
people.
confusing Africa with religion.
Yeah.
Stop confusing Africa with religion.
Yeah.
It's a
So,
deep topic. If you guys allow me, we talk about it.
Oh,
When I publish the
absolutely.
book,
Oh yeah, we'll bring you back for sure, sir.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
for sure. So,
we'll bring you back.
my people, this is our author. This is our brother.
Yeah.
Please
Thank
visit
you.
his website and get those amazing books, and you will learn a lot about the continent. This is our very own author, produced in Africa. My people, please visit his website. The website will be flowing right here on the description. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you so
time, my
much.
brother. And we'll have you
Thank
again.
you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We'll have you again, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I look forward.
All
look
right.
forward to it.
All right, man.
God bless.
God bless you. All right. Continue doing what you're doing, man.